All right. How are we doing? Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your day. Tar Heel Nation, what is going on? How are you doing? Let me just lower my mic quality just a little bit, just so I'm not too loud for you guys. Man, we got a lot to talk about today. I hope you guys are ready for a great stream today. I'm having a great feeling again. I know I put out a video at 11 talking about our Price is Right video that both Pete and I did. So if you guys are interested in that stuff, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Also, go check out that video. Again, we go over the Price is Right. We see, what is the fair price for both Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine, and which guy would you rather have on your team? So like I said, let us know in the comment section down below of that video, and really check that stuff out. It's a very interesting watch. And again, like I said, we have got a lot to talk about. Kevin Durant, and thanks to Shams kind of reporting this, we have officially gone into one of the crazier off seasons in terms of NBA superstars, and Kevin Durant, the most interesting man in the world, if you will. This guy, you never know what's going on in his head, but we are going to go right into the story that I talked about here. We're going to open up the Athletic article for us, and we're going to really talk about this and break this down. So I hope you guys are ready. Tune in, sit back, kick back. Again, shout out to one of my students for making this slogan. Shout out to you, man. I don't know if you're watching this at all, but shout out to you for making this beat. Let me know what you guys think of the beat in the comment section down below. Are you guys a fan of it? Are you not? I might make this the kind of the official beat of the charge for now. But if you guys have any music that you guys want to put out here that let me listen to that's original, let me know. I'd love to kind of listen to some music and get started. So, without further ado, let's get right into the news. And okay, everybody, this is what we all came to see. This is, like I said, what we came to see. Let me make sure I'm posting this on the Twitter sphere. All right, so let's get started with today's story. Kevin Durant tells Nets owner to trade him or fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks, according to sources from, of course, Shams with The Athletic. And again, guys, I'll read that title once again so you guys can see here. It is now the decision. Trade me or fire the head coach. And this, of course, like I said, coming from Shams of The Athletic. Kevin Durant tells owner to trade him or fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks, sources say. So in the face of a meeting with Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai over the weekend, NBA All-Star Kevin Durant reiterated his trade request and informed Tsai that he needs to choose between Durant or the pairing of the general manager and coach Steve Nash, sources tell The Athletic. Durant stated that he does not have faith in the team's direction, sources say. Durant and Tsai both spoke in London on Saturday, and a source described the discussion as transparent and professional. The meeting took place a year to the day that Durant agreed to his 4-year deal, with the Nets owner barely a month over his initial trade request on June 30th. He's now entering the first season of that extension. So he's obviously has a lot of time left on this contract. It isn't something that he's going to go towards the tail end and he has 1 year left and the owner has to decide, okay, do we keep Durant or do we trade or do we get rid of him? The Nets have direct knowledge of the reasons behind Durant's request, sources said, and has understand that the 12-time All-Star will continue to be resolute in his stance. Durant is believed to warrant a change of scenery headed into his 16th season. Across the league, people have wondered whether Durant could miss training camp. Should no trade develop? Sean, how are you doing, man? Hopefully you're doing well. Obviously we go into the Boston Celtics, we go into the trades. The Celtics, the Raptors, the Miami Heat remain the most significant candidates to acquire Durant, sources say, with the Boston package centering around All-Star Jaylen Brown seemingly as a viable deal. Tsai and the Nets have made it clear privately that they will take every asset from a team and trades for Durant, sources say. So, here's what I'll say about this, and let me take a sip of the pre-workout. I think that this is a ridiculous and honestly sad thing that's happening for Kevin Durant entering his 16th season. Any superstar player, whether it is LeBron James, whether it is Michael Jordan, whether it is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they would never act this way. And the funny part about this, and it's all going back to when they initially signed their contracts for the Brooklyn Nets. Because if you guys remember originally, Kevin Durant was supposed to be a Knick. He was supposed to go to the New York Knicks and play for that team. And instead of, trying to play for that team and trying to be part of that organization, Kyrie Irving said, no, we're going to go to Brooklyn, and I feel like that's where we should go. And the fact that that is what's happening right now, I am a little bit confused because both of them have stated on Instagram publicly that it doesn't matter who the head coach is. Those two guys can take over the NBA without them, right? I mean, let's remember those are the same guys that said they didn't need an NBA head coach. They don't care who the head coach is. We are the coaches of the team. So to me, like I said, throughout this whole thing until now, all of this has to be put on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I don't care anymore about blaming the coach, blaming the GM, when these guys have stated publicly that this is their team. One, it's their team, and two, they're the ones that really care about it most than anybody else. And so when I see a story like this come out, especially from Shams of the Athletic and talking about how in a meeting there, there's going to be, it's like you have to decide between me or the head coach and all that stuff like that. It is frustrating because, like I said, you expect a guy like Kevin Durant to play no matter what and play that contract. I mean, this is the first time in a while where we've seen star players, and I feel like this is really stemming from the James Harden situation and including Ben Simmons and maybe even Kyrie Irving to some extent, but maybe a little bit later. But this is really stemming from those two deals where they didn't want to play for the organization and got their way. And again, I'm not here to be like, oh, it's always the players, oh, it's always the owners. I'm not here to pit a war against the owner and the employees or the basketball players. Like that's not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do is just try to figure out trying to make sense of what Kevin Durant and basically the owner, like, where are their heads at this moment, right? Because I mean, both these guys want to win a championship. It's not like they both are on this team to just have a good time and go to the playoffs and relax. No, they want to win NBA championships, right? I mean, this is Kevin Durant, whether he wants to say it or not, he wants to continue to build his legacy. And I don't care what anybody says. I think anybody would be foolish because you want to leave a mark in this league. And I just find it funny that Kevin Durant is asking for a trade request when I think his team is a little bit better than it was a year ago. Like, and maybe the James Harden and again Ben Simmons. If Ben Simmons can play like Ben Simmons, who knows, right? I thought that by adding Royce O'Neal and kind of going with the same team again, it might not be a bad shout. But I mean, Kevin Durant has basically said you have to pick me or Steve Nash. And again, I don't feel bad for Steve Nash or Sean Marks. I think Steve Nash, I've talked about it numerous times before. I thought that he should have been with an organization or a team that helps him grow into that role. Like, I think if he would have stayed with the Warriors as a coach instead of a consultant that whole time when he was training Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, then I think it would have been a lot smoother in terms of him finding another job somewhere else and having someone else take the Brooklyn Nets job. Because to be honest with you, I don't know who is out there right now. Maybe Mark Jackson, maybe the Van Gundy brothers. Like D'Antoni maybe. I think the year they had D'Antoni, you could clearly see that was probably their better season, which I think it kind of says a little bit something about who D'Antoni is as a coach. He may not last very long, but he's a really damn good coach. And so to me, I cannot get behind what Kevin Durant is doing here in Brooklyn. I can't get behind what Kyrie Irving is doing here in Brooklyn. I don't know how anybody can defend these two guys and say that this is the way that the NBA should be done. I'm not saying that they should be loyal with the team. I mean, again, it goes back to the whole, and I don't want to keep bringing this up, but it goes back to the whole LeBron thing, right? Where he went to Cleveland, or he was in Cleveland, got drafted there, and then by the time he was done with his contract, he went to Miami in the right way. I mean, this is the difference between a guy like LeBron James and Kevin Durant. LeBron James will finish stuff out and then decide, okay, you know what? I'm not really feeling it right now. I'm going to step away this season and go to another team. Again, he didn't do that for the decision, and you can criticize that all you want, of like, oh, you should be courteous and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. He still made the decision once his contract was done. He's not doing what these new superstars are doing right now, which is quitting on their teams, quitting on the reasons, and quitting on basically making a mess of the situation that this is their mess. Ben Simmons, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, this is their mess. This isn't something that was created by the organization. This isn't something that was created by someone else. It was them and them alone. And the fact that this is what we're seeing right now from Kevin Durant is a little bit of a gut punch to the NBA, because I don't think that this is the right way to do it. And I will continue to be a broken record on this point, because it continues to be, to me, a problem where guys are just not finishing out their contracts. And again, I'm not, if you don't like the situation, when you are, sports is completely different. I don't care if anyone wants to compare apples and oranges to a real job or other things like that. But when it comes to this point specifically, you were signed there for 4 years. You signed the extension. If you knew that this was going to be the case back then to where it is right now, you would not have signed the extension, right? You would have said, I don't really care about the money at this point. I want to build my legacy. I'm saying sayonara to the Brooklyn Nets. But instead of doing that, he decided to sign the extension because obviously it's a lot of money. I will never hate on anybody for getting their money. And I will continue to make that point. Make your money, make your bread. But then you can't make your bread and then decide, oh, I don't want to be here. Because that to me is just, that's being not a great teammate. And that's just, quitting on your team. That's not something that I think NBA players from the past and the future should be looking at and being congratulatory of Kevin Durant. And again, I think that they will trade him eventually. It makes it look like it, just from the fact that they just don't want to deal with the headache. But now it becomes the question for the Brooklyn Nets as to what do they get in return, right? Because now teams are going to know that the Brooklyn Nets are desperate to get rid of Kevin Durant, meaning that their trade packages and the deals that they are going to make to the Brooklyn Nets are not going to be as good as they once were when everything was just speculatory. Which is kind of crazy that the Brooklyn Nets, I think, would reject that Jaylen Brown trade. Because if you're thinking about it, I don't think the Brooklyn Nets offer you that trade again. Unless there's a team that is just going to go insane with trading away players or trading away stuff for you. I think the only team that possibly makes sense for them, and in my opinion, the only one that I could potentially see, not the Boston Celtics, to be honest with you, I think it's going to have to be the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat make the most sense. The Heat culture, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, a coach that demands and commands presence. Someone that's going to hold these guys accountable. And that's been my problem with Steve Nash to some extent as well, is that he doesn't hold these guys accountable. For how great of a point guard that Steve Nash was, he never held Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant responsible or held them accountable for the actions on the court as well. I mean, again, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm probably looking for a trade too. From his perspective, right? You think about this. You have Kyrie Irving on your team who may or may not play the whole season. He hasn't played, I believe we looked at it, he hasn't played 60 games since 2016. 2017, I think, might be the last time that he did it. Before he went to Boston and then Brooklyn. He only played 60 games, and that was in Cleveland. So I think from Kevin Durant's perspective, he doesn't want to play with a guy that's not going to be there available for him. He clearly wasn't when they needed him the most, and that's why they had to go into the play-in game, and then they had to play against the Boston Celtics at the 8th seed, get swept, even though they were kind of the favorites in that series. They got swept. And I think when you see Kevin Durant look at that situation, I don't think he wants to be in that probable situation again. And that to me is kind of the frustrating part when it comes to Kevin Durant as a basketball player. As a person, I think he's a great guy. Whether you like him or not, I still think he does a lot of great things. It's just on the basketball court, it's just a little bit confusing in the NBA business side of things. Because his decisions and things that happen, to me, are head scratchers at best. And it is frustrating to kind of notice when you look at the situation at hand when it comes to these players. How can you trust that your second best player is going to be there for you? Hell, how can you even trust that your third best player is going to be there for you? Think about Ben Simmons in this situation. Ben Simmons has yet to play a game for the Brooklyn Nets when he got traded. And he was supposed to be back in that same month. He was supposed to be back for the playoffs. He ended up having a different back injury that I think was caused by stress. I don't think it was caused by him kind of going at the motions and playing and trying to go for game 4 against the Boston Celtics. I think that this was really because of the stress of playing for the Brooklyn Nets. And I think the pressure is going to mount even more now on Ben Simmons than it would be if he would have played in that series. Because if you think about it from this perspective, you play, you get your butts kicked, people forget about it, right? Because this, to me, this series or the series against the Boston Celtics was more so on Kevin Durant than it was on anybody else because of how badly he played in the first two games. And so when I look at it from that perspective, when I look at it from here, how can I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. Like, how can you be on Kevin Durant's side at this current moment when he gave up? And Tar Heel Nation, you said, as a KD fan, I'm ashamed of him, bro. He's so soft. He is soft. And it's frustrating to see because he is such a damn good basketball player. He is such a good basketball player that it's frustrating for me to see him act the way that he does, do the things that he does. But again, he is human after all, right? Just like you and me, just like anybody out here that's tweeting on the Twitter sphere, we're all human. We all have our mistakes, we all have our vices, we all have, stuff that makes us human. But when it comes to Kevin Durant, not saying that he's a guy that is a child, he might be acting childish in this sense. Finish out the contract, play the games, because at the end of the day, it was you, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving who built this roster, who picked the players, and you probably signed off on them. I highly doubt that Sean Marks would do anything without Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving's permission. I highly doubt that. Because I think those two guys want to be in control of everything. Want to be in control of the narrative, want to be in control of their destiny. And I get that. I understand that. I'm probably going to be the same. I'm probably the same way if I was in that situation. I'm trying to control everything. But then you can't go out and say, you guys just didn't do enough for me. I'm getting traded. Or, you know what? It's just not working out. We're getting traded. When it was you guys, and again, this is to me what it looks like. It's when you have a mess on the floor, you spill your Coke on the floor. Let's say at Costco. We'll go with Costco just because I'm about to go there later today. You go to Costco, you get your hot dog, you get your soda, and you spill the soda on the floor. And instead of going to help wipe it up, you just leave it. And you leave the store and you go home with your hot dog. That to me cannot be what we see in the NBA. Because I think that's really what is hurting the NBA at times. And really from the fans' perspective. And again, you could like the fans, you can hate the fans, but they're the ones that pay the bills, unfortunately, right? And sometimes they can be douchebags, sometimes they can be a-holes, but they're the ones that pay the money. TV deals, jerseys, merchandise, whatever it is. And again, I'm not saying that we should, always, fans are always right, bow down to the fans. But how can fans get behind this product if we continue to let players do what a Ben Simmons does and what a James Harden does? And now Kevin Durant's entering that conversation as one of those type of players. Creating the mess, not picking it up, and deciding to leave and go to a different team. And the reason why I call out Kevin Durant like this is not because I'm trying to get clout. It's not because I'm trying to become the best NBA news and rumors podcaster of all time, right? Everybody has a podcast. Everybody has everything. But the reason why I call it out is because I think as an NBA community, this is just not a good look. Because, like I said, it makes us look like when the going gets tough for your NBA superstars, they fold and they go away. And that's just something you can't have as an NBA player. Or as an NBA, as your Adam Silver and the owners and the coaching staff. You can't have your best player quit on you. It's frustrating. And it's not, and it doesn't just stem from, Kevin Durant from this year. We could even go back to when Kobe Bryant did against the Phoenix Suns all those years ago, when he just quit on his team. He didn't take a shot for the second half of that playoff series, and they lost. It's the same type of energy here when it comes to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving building that team, creating the culture and the environment, and then at the end of the day, not being able to do something with it. Not being able to take that roster that really should be pretty decent. I'm not saying it's the best roster in the world. I'm not saying it is a NBA Finals contender or NBA Finals winner roster, but you should be able to take this to at least the second or third round. And the fact that they couldn't do that, and it all stems from the injury history, it all stems from what's going on in the NBA currently. I can't get behind the I can't, sorry, not the Boston Celtics. I can't get behind the Brooklyn Nets and the way that this whole thing has been going. I blame the owner. I blame the coaches. I blame Kevin Durant. Everybody deserves blame in this. No one is blameless in this line fire of Kevin Durant wanting a trade request, Tsai not really doing his job as an NBA owner, demanding excellence from his guys, and the coach and the GM. Right? Because I think that if Steve Nash had the chutzpah about him, if he really had to if he really had that coaching energy, that coaching prowess, then he would have gotten this roster over the finish line. And that doesn't mean, like I said, go to the NBA Finals. It means at least get to the next round, at least become dangerous in the playoffs. And they were nothing like that. And I think without D'Antoni, part of that coaching staff, you could clearly see that his offensive genius was missing from that playoff series. I mean, you could clearly see that this was a different team at this point. And so, as we kind of continue to proceed with the story that's keeps breaking every time that we're on here, it is frustrating to know that Kevin Durant did this, because I think he's so much better than what he's shown. I think he's so much better than what people give him credit for. But I think that this would leave a mark on his legacy. And I'm sorry to say that. I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, the legacy matters and things like that. But in terms of how people will remember you, yes, we'll remember the Oklahoma City days. We will remember the Golden State Warriors days. But will we remember when Kevin Durant decided, you know what? I'm going to quit on my team because I built this roster. It didn't work out. I'm leaving the mess for someone else to clean up. And that's not fair. I don't think that's fair, Kevin Durant, to do that. Again, you could say the 4 years and then decide, okay, you know what? It's not really working out. I'm leaving. And I think everybody would be okay with that. But it's the fact that you're leaving when it's only a 1 year into your extension. You're thinking, I don't really think that this is going to work out. And basically, you're going to leave the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving only. And even then, I think Kyrie Irving's gone. I think he's going to the Lakers. I really do. Because I think that Lakers fans are going to be happy. They're going to be ecstatic about that when it happens. But like I said, it is frustrating to see the situation that's going on. And the ultimatum is here for Tsai. Now the question is on Tsai because he's the owner. He needs to decide what is going to be the right situation. If you are an NBA, if you're the NBA owner, if you're Joe Tsai, what do you do? And maybe I'll leave that as a poll in the chat. So let me do that really quick before we continue on this. Before we continue here, let me just leave this as a poll. If you're Tsai, do you keep or you keep Durant or fire the coaches? And I'm going to ask you guys in the community. I mean, again, I want to ask you guys because you guys, this is a community, like I said. I don't want this to be something where it's because this is all for you guys, right? I mean, even though I could vote as well, I think if I had to pick, and I'm going to go with being an NBA owner here for a second, I probably would fire the coaches. And the reason why I would fire the coaches, and I casted my vote, the reason why I would fire the coaches is because you cannot get rid of a generational talent in Kevin Durant. And again, this is nothing personal with Steve Nash. This is nothing personal with Sean Marks. But you could clearly see that these two guys need a lot more nurturing, especially Steve Nash as a coach. I like Steve Nash. I think he's one of the greatest point guards of all time. His change of pace and change of speed and everything that makes Kevin Durant, or sorry, that makes Steve Nash the point guard that he was back in the day is good. And the reason why I say that is because Steve Nash clearly was a consultant first, didn't really work on becoming a coach until later in his career. He was, on the Champions League coverage, covering his Tottenham Hotspurs because he's a Hotspur fan for English football for everyone that, or I guess it's say European football. Um, and doing that first, and then became a consultant. Was a consultant while doing that, and then decided to become a coach. And I think that you could clearly see that Steve Nash is not ready to be a head coach in this league yet. I think that there is a lot more nourishing and development that he needs to do as a coach himself in order to get him going, in order for him to become that guy. That could, like I said, I thought that he should have been with a younger team, maybe this Orlando Magic team, and start working and developing under them and really kind of growing up with them. So that way, when he does do great things on offense, what he remembers back in his D'Antoni days or anything like that, then you could clearly see like, okay, this guy could do something. But like I said, it is frustrating to see this sort of situation. And you're right, Russ. He does need to be a assistant first. And I think anybody with the brain could have told you that years ago. Because it is clearly night and day obvious from when they had D'Antoni as an offensive consultant just a year ago, where they were at compared to where they're at now. And like I said, you could talk about trying to think of the right word. You could talk about not having Kyrie Irving, the vaccine mandates, all that stuff. Throw that out the window. This team is much better than being an 8 seed without Kyrie Irving. This team should at least be a 6th to 5th seed without Kyrie Irving. And the fact that they had to go to the play-in game, the fact that it was the fact that they had to go to the play-in game, had to be the 8th seed against the Boston Celtics, I mean, that's embarrassing. That is super embarrassing as a team with so much star potential, so much star power. It's ridiculous that it had to come to that for this last season. And Russ, you said, and again, I'm looking on my phone as well, you said here, nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You are absolutely right, Russ. There's nothing wrong with being an assistant and kind of growing and developing that way, because how could you? How could you? All the great coaches were at one time on a bench, learning under someone else's tutelage. And I just think that if Steve Nash would have stayed a little bit longer with Steve Kerr, you could have seen probably what happened to some of these other guys. I mean, Kenny Atkinson, the exception to the rule. He decided he wanted to stay. He didn't like the situation that was going on in Charlotte and decided to dip out. But Mike Brown was an assistant. Well, was a head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers when LeBron James was in his prime. Then became an assistant on the bench for the Golden State Warriors. I'm sure there's other places that he's been as well, so I don't want to knock his coaching career. But you could clearly see that when he did kind of do that, Walton is back to being an assistant. I don't think Walton's head coach material, to be honest with you, Russ. That could be a different conversation for a different day, but I don't see coach material from Walton. He just doesn't have that. I just don't think, I don't know. Anytime I saw a Kings game when he was a head coach, I just did not like. But to go back to the Steve Nash, I think it would have been a lot better. You could have seen a lot more growth and development. And this is kind of where we're at right now when it comes to Kevin Durant currently. And let's make sure we look at Sham's Twitter, make sure there's nothing else to talk about here. Nothing else. It just says the sources informed Josiah that he does not have faith in the Nets' direction. Like I talked about, the meeting was described as transparent and professional with a message, keep me or the GM and coach. And I left a poll out there for you guys. I want you guys to continue voting. I'll probably keep it up for the rest of the stream. If you guys would let me know, what would you do if you were to decide? Would you keep Durant or would you fire the coaches? I would love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And again, this story is going to continue to rear its ugly head until Kevin Durant is traded or decides I don't want to trade and I want to continue to be here or to be there in Brooklyn. So again, like I said, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of the situation that we have here at hand when it pertains to Kevin Durant making the ultimatum of keeping me or firing Steve Nash and Sean Marks? Let me know in the comment section down below. Remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. All right, guys, and then let's move on to our next story of the day. We got some beef. Let's go here. We got some beef. We got some beef to share. And again, I do apologize that I do have YouTube voice right now in terms of the video stuff. I also kind of chop this up and make them their own videos, so you guys can watch a little bit later if you don't want to watch the whole stream. Let's move on to the next story of the day. Paolo Banchero and DeJounte Murray sharing some beef. So if we look at what's going on here, today's story, this is all we know about Paolo Banchero and DeJounte Murray beef. So the story goes on to say this: Orlando Magic rookie Paolo Banchero pulled up to the 7th annual Zeke End Pro-Am tournament over the weekend and may have found himself involved in a new beef afterward. The event is hosted by two-time All-Star Isaiah Thomason, often featured notable players, including Isaiah Thomas himself. Guard DeJounte Murray was among those that competed in Tacoma, Washington. So this is, of course, a Washington event. If you guys don't know, Paolo Banchero went to high school here. He was an O'Day. I think they're the Irish. Nevertheless, O'Day. And then you got, of course, DeJounte Murray himself being a Rainier Beach Viking in the metro area. And you can clearly see that when it comes to any time you talk about Rainier Beach, Garfield, or O'Day, which is kind of the Catholic private school down there in Seattle, there's always going to be some tension between these guys because obviously those schools are so historic in their history here in Seattle, especially in the metro area. We talk about them at nauseum. I coach against them when it comes to the playoffs, and so, or I help coach. I don't say I am the coach, but I help coach in those playoff series. And I remember going against actually DeJounte Murray's Rainier Beach Vikings in one year, a couple years ago. Obviously, he was not on the team when I was coaching, but you can clearly see that these schools have historical players that have come through, and there's going to be even more because I think Seattle, to be honest with you, has the best basketball in the whole west side of the United States. I don't think it's even close. And I don't care what California has to say. Washington has the best basketball, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But besides my bias, let's continue on talking about the story here. The event, like I said, Paolo and Murray who are both from Seattle. Again, like I talked about, O'Day for Banchero and Rainier Beach for Murray, who are both from Seattle, were matched up against each other it took turns handing the score duties for their team. The two appeared to have a little fun in the game, but the situation then escalated to the next level, seemingly out of nowhere. When MPJ was playing at Nathan Hale, that was the golden age of Seattle hoops, high school hoops. It wasn't too bad. Tar Heel, did you play high school hoops out here? I can't remember. I think we talked about it one time. I can't remember what your answer was about that. Can't remember if you played out in the metro area, if you're from the Seattle area when you were in high school. But things started to get a little bit chippy after Banchero made a play on the ball down the paint. Murray fell to the ground and proceeded to get up and walk over towards Banchero. He then bumped into Banchero, the number one pick, seemingly unfazed by the gesture. Let's look at there. Paul Banchero kind of fouling. They got into it just a little bit. More so, DeJounte Murray kind of giving him the shoulder. Of course, Paolo Banchero kind of going to him, giving him a little pat rub in the belly. And then the highlight of the game came when Paolo Banchero... Okay, I only played tennis in high school. I feel it, man. I feel it. Paolo Banchero getting an early welcome to the league moment from DeJounte Murray. And again, this moment has gone viral across the NBA or across the NBA sphere. I mean, let's look at this again. DeJounte Murray with the up fake, get a ball around him, throw it off the glass, dunk on him. And again, it proceeds to be continuing to lead to more escalation. Excuse me. Murray was fired up the rest of the game following that jam and often took the assignment of guarding Banchero on defense. Banchero had some nice finishes over Murray, none of which were as empathetic as that one-handed slam, though. And then, let's see here, Paolo Banchero suns him all game. This is, of course, against DeJounte Murray. again, I mean, Paulo Banchero, 6'10", 250. I can't remember how much he was. I think he might be at least 252, maybe like 220, 230. The dude's big. Like it's gonna be hard for a guard to guard him. Um, just kind of like just kind of how it is. And then let's see here. Let's see this video. I don't think this is anything. I think it's just the side video of it. Okay, nothing there really. And so it then continues. Once the game was over, Murray took to Instagram to post a video of his dunk on his reels. Paulo Banchero caught wind of it and then offered up a response of his own, which resulted in the two going back and forth a bit on their stories. With the basketball world at a standstill at the height of the offseason, apparently the beef between Banchero and Murray took over social media with several fans weighing in. And this is, of course, what Paulo Banchero said to responding to DeJounte Murray's story. Lol, unfollowed me on the gram and everything. Must have been personal, huh? That's fine. Just make sure you guard up next time and stop sending doubles some family. And then DeJounte Murray comes back at him like this. You tried to flex that number one pick-ish on me when I've been rooting for you when you were a kid, asking to rebound for me. Paulo Banchero, don't get on this internet saying nothing. You changed from the humble kid you always was, and I stand on the real-ish boy, and you know. You made it when you changed, and you made it, and it changed, and I lost all respect. Stay humble. This life you're in now is real, and they ain't no joke. I still want to see you win because that's who I am. And then, of course, we got Paulo Banchero pushing back. He said, same humble kid, always vouch for you, bro. Don't switch the narrative for the internet. And of course, it leads to other kind of conversations here. We got this clip of DeJounte Murray at the Pro-Am at Seattle Pacific here in the Jamal Crawford Pro-Am. We'll take a look at it one more time. Again, DeJounte Murray with the disrespect over a 9-to-5 guy. DeJounte Murray told Paulo Banchero. This is, of course, from Ahmad. He says here, DeJounte told Paulo Banchero that the NBA changed him and he didn't even play 5 minutes of NBA basketball. Of course, the picture of today's video, DeJounte Murray and Paulo sharing some beef. And then, of course, we got Ashley Nicole Moss talking about what in the Degrassi is going on with Paulo Banchero and DeJounte Murray. Of course, we got a lot of other different memes. We got Rob Perez talking about him, DeJounte Murray doing his thing. And again, it continues on to the story. And here's what I'll say about this. I think we need to calm down on this beef. I don't think it's really anything. I think people are overreacting to it in many different ways. Because at the end of the day, this beef doesn't really matter. These are two guys going at each other. This, to me, should have just been left on the basketball court. I know that's the fence sitter. That's the middle ground. That's the baby way out of everything. But I don't think that this beef was necessary. And it might have just been just because, DeJounte was feeling some type of way at the Isaiah Thomas event. And that's really it. To me, this is not a good look because for Seattle basketball, there's a brotherhood when it comes to this. Jamal Crawford had, and many guys before Jamal Crawford even have always kind of banded together when they made it to the league, and they've always kind of stuck out with each other, whether they played on rival teams in the Metro League. Doesn't matter if they played on O'Day, Garfield, Nathan Hale, Cleveland, many other schools out here, right? Rainier Beach, Chief Sealth, West Seattle, all those school programs. No matter what the situation was, those guys have always banded together. This has never been an issue before where two guys, seemingly young. I mean, I think DeJounte Murray is like, 23, 24? And so at the end of the day, I think that this is just a little bit of a childish situation for both of these guys. Again, I think whether you're a Paulo fan or a Paulo hater, you can clearly see that this is just a situation that just got out of hand for no reason. And maybe not so like where it's violent and it's just more so Twitter drama and Instagram and more so internet drama. I still want people to understand that this is not the way that when I think about Paulo Banchero, when I think about DeJounte Murray in the Seattle area, I still think it's a brotherhood. I can't believe that we're letting some Pro-Am event come between these two guys because I think DeJounte Murray, he's a good player, man. I think he's going to do a lot of great things for the for the Atlanta Hawks now that he got traded there. And it's the same thing. I think Paulo Banchero and the Magic are going to be a great league pass team. I think they're going to be a great team. So the fact that these two are getting into some stupid beef that probably will get hyped up during the NBA season, I could already see ESPN, I could see TNT, I could see all those media companies bringing this up because it'll draw attention, it'll draw ratings. But this is not what we need to see in the NBA. Let these two guys go at each other with their game. I don't care for them talking on the internet. I don't care about any of that stuff. Let them have it on the court. Because that's what it's really about. Who is the best Seattle player to ever come from the state? These two guys could be vying for that title. Jamal Crawford, I think, holds the crown currently, in my opinion. And it's up to these two guys to go take it. And Tari Eason and many other guys that are still, in the league right now. There's so many guys in the league right now that play in the Seattle area. And the fact that they're beefing over something so lame. It's not even something to beef about. It's just DeJounte Murray getting mad for no reason. And these two guys just going at it. This is not what they need for the NBA rookie right now. Like, let Paulo deal with the challenges of being the number 1 overall pick. There's no need to add more pressure to the kid. I'm not saying that he won't live up or he won't excel in the pressure of this beef, whatever this stupid beef is. But it's still a situation that I find myself kind of laughing a bit because I think that this was definitely not necessary. I know my friends are Atlanta Hawk guys. Sean is a fan of them, and so is my friend Josh. I'm obviously going to be rooting for DeJounte Murray. You're going to have some people who are Chet Holmgren fans are going to be like, nah, it's Chet all the way. Forget about Paulo. At the end of the day, let's leave it on the court. No need for this beef. Let's figure out who is the best Seattle guy going forward. So I'm excited to actually see these two guys play against one another in the future in a basketball game where these two guys can go at it the right way, can go at it on the game, and we can do wins and losses to see who is the better Seattle area player. Again, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of this story? I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I thought it was interesting to cover, especially being a Seattle area guy myself, and along with my boy Pete. Just kind of talking about it and figuring out what you guys think about the situation. If you are from the Seattle area, what school did you go to if you're out here? And do you think which Metro team is the best Metro team of all time? Let me know in the comment section down below, because I would love to know what you guys think about all those teams and also this beef as well, as we continue to proceed to give you what you need here on The Charge. Like I said, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Like I said, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. All right, let's move on to the final story of the day. So, we're here talking about the final story of the day, and this has come from none other than Mr. Calipari. Mr. Calipari, UK, University of Kentucky head coach, said that he's excited about playing Gonzaga, but he's disappointed that they have to go there first, but making it happen, I was willing to do that. Playing in front of 13,000 crazy fans in the Spokane Arena will be exciting, just like it will be in front of 22K fans in Rupp next year. John Calipari said, I imagine there will be some BBN and some Gonzaga fans who will sneak in the game this year because there are more seats. Anybody who wants to play us in front of a 6,000 seat facility wants us to lose, and I get that. I tried to look back and find the last time Kentucky played a true regular season home game with 6,000 or fewer fans. I stopped to look after the 70s. This is great for both schools, and I can't wait to get this series started. Maybe we should make this a 4-year series. And here's what I'll have to say about this beef. Moving from one beef to the other, right? We just talked about the DeJounte Murray beef. We talked about the Paulo beef. If you want to talk about super lame, let's look at Coach Calipari. I think that this is an unnecessary shot at the University of Gonzaga and who they are as a basketball program. The reason why I think that this is a bad look on Calipari's part is because there's no reason to even say anything about the Gonzaga Bulldogs arena. The fact that you would come out and, wave your SEC kind of pom-poms and act like all high and mighty because you play in the mighty SEC where football reigns supreme there, and football brings you in millions of dollars to just crap on not only the West Coast Conference, but also just crap on teams that have 6,000 seats. There is no reason to do this, in my opinion. And let me just quickly do here. Let's see here. Oh, I think this is Sean. This might be Sean posting in here. This is Sean. Calipari has been ducking true road games for a decade. He labels it home v home series, but won't let Gonzaga play at home. He's scared of the environment. Duke only has 9K fans. And that's exactly right, Sean. I think that this is a really bad look on Calipari's part, because I don't really think that he thinks that he's really, I don't know. I have never been impressed with the Calipari team besides that Kentucky team with Anthony Davis and John Wall. Other than that, they've been overrated each and every year in the NCAA tournament. And it is frustrating because it acts like he is such an elite player, right? He acts like he's an elite coach with the way that he talks about and craps on teams that only have 6,000 fans. I don't necessarily like that at all. I think that this is a pretty punk move on Calipari's part. And it's not even to defend Gonzaga fans, because I think they can get a little rowdy as well, or a little crazy on the internet. Sorry, Son, it's just the truth on that part, from my opinion. But the fact that you went to so low as to go the fan route of like, oh, they only have 6,000 fans. They don't really have that many people. That's childish. It's clownish. And the fact that you did that just makes it look like you're scared. You're scared of playing in a small arena for whatever. I don't know why you would be scared to play in a small arena. Are you scared to lose because of your records? I mean, let's look at Kentucky's record these past couple years. Let me see here. Maybe they can. Here we go. I think this is a list of their seasons. And this is total, right? We look at so obviously they went with Tubby Smith for a little bit. They then went to Calipari. I mean, let's look at the year that they played probably the worst. Right here. 9-16. I'm sorry, man. You're not that coach anymore. You cannot be that coach anymore when you have a 9-16 record, and then you go to 26-8 and you lose in the first round of 64, and there was no postseason held. You didn't even make the tournament the year before that. I'm sorry. This is just ridiculous. I understand that he's a great coach. You can see the winning and loss record, but it's just it is frustrating. And Sean, I'll read your comments since you're more of a fan and you know the story a little bit more. So you said here really quick. He is saying that. Oh, sorry. Oh, I already read that one. I'll just read them again. So Calipari's been ducking the road games for a decade. He labels it home v home series, but won't let Gonzaga play at home. He's scared of the environment. Duke only has 9K fans. He says it's hard to play in a small arena. He just wants his boosters and NIL donors to be able to buy the tickets. Calipari has trouble grasping that he no longer has the A side in these types of matchups. They haven't been relevant. He was so offended few wouldn't budge on allowing Gonzaga to get the game at home first. And that's the thing. I mean, I feel like all these coaches are scared of playing against these guys. And I have no idea why. Because if they are, to me, it just doesn't make any sense why they would be scared. I mean, again, Gonzaga does need these games, in my opinion, in order to kind of prepare themselves for the NCAA tournament, prepare themselves to go against pretty much really athletic players. Because, again, I think that the WCC is a little bit weaker in that category of really playing to a standard that the Gonzaga Bulldogs need in order to overcome the hump of winning that championship. And so what I do find very interesting is that these teams that, quote unquote, are the best teams or have the best coach, quote unquote, of all time, Calipari, Coach K, and many. I'm glad that Coach K decided to play against Gonzaga. Calipari wants to play against Gonzaga too, but wants to do it in his own way. And like you said, Sean, it's really about getting the NIL donors and getting people that donate to the players their cut of it and making sure that they don't get screwed over by not having a ticket to go to this game. Which is funny because I thought they reserved the front row for those ticket holders anyway. I just think that this to me is an excuse. I hate that the fact that sometimes that they have to play these games in weird places, even though I was appreciative of watching the one in the Seattle arena at or I'm gonna call it Key Arena. I'm never gonna call it Climate Pledge. And it's cool seeing them at Key Arena playing there. And even though I didn't go to the game, but it was a fun atmosphere, I could see that the crowd was really into it, and I can kind of understand it from that perspective. I understand Spokane is a little bit deeper than most. I dropped a tweet from a scene writer in the Athletic Charge Discord. Pull it up. All right, give me 1 second. I'll pull it up. Discord. Oh, in the Charge Discord. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, let's open this really quick. I think I have it here from Chris Biani. I think is his name. Sorry if I butchered it. Where was it? Oh shoot, did I just lose it? Dang it. My bad, Sean. I just lost it. Let's see here. Man, this dude likes to tweet a lot. Let's see here. I tweeted like a couple days ago. Oh, hang on. Can I click it this way and it'll pop up? All right, here we go. So I'll drop the tweet from. Okay, so I'm pulling up the tweet right now. Here's the tweet. It says here, this is incredibly lame. UNC, Arizona, Michigan State have all played at Gonzaga on-site campus arena, but Kentucky won't. And that to me is the clownish part of this whole thing. I understand that Calipari is scared. I understand that he probably doesn't want to get a loss. But at the end of the day, this to me is what separates some coaches from others. Is what separates Tommy Treason or Tommy Lloyd. I can't remember at Michigan State, so Izzo. I remember who the head coach for UNC was at that time. I don't know if UNC, Roy Williams. All those guys have played at the Gonzaga arena. And I understand it's a small arena. I understand it's a small campus. I understand it's Spokane. Nothing really going on over there. But what makes the Gonzaga Bulldogs arena so special when you watch it on TV or even when you just watch it in person, it is a more intimate setting for sports. And you cannot replicate that in the SEC. You cannot replicate that anywhere else because they've all decided to build these grand arenas where everyone is spaced out far away from each other. There's no enclosed space. The crowd can't really get into it like they can at Gonzaga. The Kennel, I think, is what they call it, if I remember right, Sean. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's called the Kennel because of their mascot as a bulldog. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that. It is a little pathetic on Calipari's part for him to kind of just be a scared chicken. A chicken. He's a coward. He's a coward for the fact that he doesn't want to be involved in such a what could be a great game, right? Because I think Kentucky actually brought in some pretty good recruits this offseason. And Gonzaga is kind of on this rebuild now that they've gone past Chet and they're looking for something else. The student section takes up an entire side of the arena and are 3 feet from the floor. At the players' ears. Some people aren't built for it. Yeah, student section is the Kennel. Oh, the student section is the Kennel. So what's the actual arena called? And so that to me kind of goes to show you that that's why they don't want to go there. The fact that and again, NBA, NCAA, high school, all those arenas, the reason why you can get some of the best games in the world is because the fans are there with their passion, with their energy. It's the reason why I believe European football, is probably one of the best to do it. Because if you look at the way that European football is at times, McCarthy Athletic Center. Okay, gotcha. The fact that you can have that passion, that energy that comes from the fans, I feel like bleeds into the players, whether you're on the opposing team or whether you're on the same team as the fans. Because I love it when a great player on the opposite team shushes the crowd or lets the crowd know that he is that guy. But what this tells me is that Calipari is an elitist. He thinks that he's better than everybody that has gone to the kennel before or gone to the McCarthy Center before. Athletic Center. He thinks he's better than UNC. He thinks he's better than Arizona. He thinks he's better than Michigan State. But let me tell you something, Calipari. You may have the history there in Kentucky because they've been such a successful college team all these years. But what you won't have is the sauce of that intimate arena. That sauce that these other coaches put their money where their mouth is when it came to this team. And I just think that this is a situation. Again, apparently Texas did this last year as well. He did this at Memphis too. I can't believe this. Mark Few will play any team, anywhere, anytime. Calipari is an elitist for sure. I'll post another tweet that show you how hypothetical he is. And I think it was the if I'm not mistaken, Sean, it was the Damian Lillard tweet, if I'm not mistaken. So look at this. Texas is going to play Edinburgh to play Northern Arizona in a 2,500 person arena, which is University of Texas RTV's home arena. Then Texas goes back to Austin to play UT and RGV in a Gregory Gym, which is about 2,500 people. But they're not going to play. Oh, wait, no, hang on. He tweeted this one day after the Gonzaga. And this was, of course, I believe this was the Damian Lillard tweet. I share this with our team today because this is exactly what we want our culture to be, including having a kind heart. Everything that Damian Lillard says he was to strive. We will not tolerate elitism or think you're better than others because you're at Kentucky. And like you said, this is so hypocritical of Calipari to do this. And again, I am not the biggest Gonzaga fan. But what I am not a fan of is Calipari waving his SEC pom-poms and nose at teams that he thinks he's better than. That he thinks, oh, Kentucky cannot play in this small arena. And I just think it's absolutely absurd. I think it's absolutely absurd that this is the case, man. I think it's absolutely absurd that this, to me, is a situation where we're looking at it from an elite perspective when you literally just tweeted the year out that we will not tolerate elitism. And I think Calipari is also doing this, to be fair, Sean. He might be doing this just to get a rile out of fans and rile out of people, to get them tweeting and talking about Kentucky basketball, because they haven't been relevant in the last couple of years. Like I said, we looked at what happened here. The last time, they only won one championship since he got there in 2010. And again, we could talk about Mark Few and not winning it. That's fair too. But at the end of the day, didn't get very far in the 2013 season, 21-12. He had 29-11. Then he went 38-1, 27-9, 32-5. Then the year after in 2017-18, 26-11. Then he went 30-7. Then he went 25-6, but no postseason held. That's fine. Then he went 9-16 the past year. And then this year he went 26-8 and lost in the first round, I believe. So I don't want to hear anything from Calipari about not being able to play in a big arena. We get it. Your arena is huge. And you're probably one of the only arenas that has this. And at the end of the day, I'm sick of the hypocrisy from Calipari, thinking that he is that guy when he's clearly not. And he's a good coach. I'm not going to deny that he is a good coach, but you can clearly see that he has a lot of bark, but no bite. And that to me is kind of a situation that I look at when it comes to Calipari. When I look at this stuff, you are running away from the challenge of fighting in the kennel. Or I should say not the kennel, the McCarthy Athletic Center. I keep wanting to just call it the whole thing the kennel, which I think should be the nickname of the arena itself. But it is frustrating to see that a guy like Calipari is scared that much of a home crowd that gets into it like no other in the league or in the WCC or even the NCAA. I honestly like playing in the smaller arenas and the more intimate areas because of the way that this could be a potential game-changing situation for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Again, their whole fortune changed when they got the number one player to go to Gonzaga. They also got Jalen Suggs, another top high prospect to go to Gonzaga. And they will continue this and become a new blue blood of the NCAA because of the fact that they go against these teams. They're not scared of the big boys anymore. They're not afraid of them to go to their place, and neither should the players be afraid to go, or neither should the opponents be afraid to go there either. But it clearly shows you that they are scared to go there because they clearly, one, are greedy for money because they want their donors and people that pay the season tickets to get seating, which is fine. But they're also scared because they don't want to play in that small arena where the fans are right on them. They're afraid that they're going to lose in that game and they're going to storm the court. They're afraid of those moments because it could definitely dramatically drop their ranking in the NCAA basketball coaches rankings or preseason rankings or whatever it is. I'm excited for what we see here this coming NCAA off season and what we see going into the regular season, because this is going to be a fun game to watch. And when the Gonzaga Bulldogs win this, I hope they clip that tweet and post it everywhere and let them know that he is that much of a scaredy cat to play at is it Mike McCarthy or is it McCarthy Athletic Center? He's clearly scared and he doesn't want that smoke. Let me know in the comment section down below what do you guys make of this story. This should be a very interesting situation. Let's see here, Sean, really quick before I get out of here. A bunch of comments are people bringing up that Gonzaga thing in the Dame tweet he sent out. Let me see here if there's some more replies. Some more replies. More replies. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can clearly see that. And again, Calipari knows what he's doing. We know that he's probably just trying to draw up attention for his team, trying to get hype for the Kentucky Wildcats once again. But each and every year, the Kentucky Wildcats play for Calipari. They continue to disappoint because of their coaching decisions on and off the court. Let me know what you guys think of this situation and the story in the comment section down below. Calipari is a big chicken, and we all know that that's true. Anyway, guys, that's going to be the end of today's live stream. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I believe it's 4 o'clock over there on the East Coast, 1 o'clock over here on the West Coast, so I'll be getting some lunch really quick. Again, let me know what you guys thought of each and every story that we had here today. Of course, we had the Kevin Durant, my way or the highway situation. We have the Paulo Banchero and the DeJounte Murray beef. And of course, we also have this story with John Calipari being the biggest chicken in the NCAA history. Anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for joining. And we'll catch everybody on the next live stream here on The Charge, bringing the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions and emphasis on the basketball opinions. Anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out, everybody.